Mike Owens with Inside Fighting, and it's always a pleasure to be joined by head coach John Woods, who is celebrating another victory with Merab after his third round submission over Sean O'Malley at UFC 316. John, how's emotions, my man?
Oh man, it was awesome. Like still riding the high. That was definitely one of the bigger, better wins and fights and just atmosphere, everything. So the way he went out there, handled it, finished it. You couldn't have asked for a more, storybook ending to that
Mm.
rivalry. So it's awesome, man. What that does for him and just for the team and everybody, it's awesome.
Before we talk about the fight, I may have asked you this before, but if not, I'll ask you it again. How does Merab celebrate a victory? What's his go-to?
Well, so like that night, I mean, being on the East Coast, we don't even get done with media until like three, past 3 a.m. in the morning. So usually when there's a huge Georgian contingency out there on the East Coast. So I think they had a after party. They went straight from there to Brooklyn. I had to go back to the hotel to jump on a plane to come back here for a couple
Mm,
days, but I mean, he went straight out. He doesn't really drink. He's not a party guy. So, but he
mm,
just he loves being around people. He loves, especially with the Georgian people. Like he loves celebrating with his fellow countrymen. So they have a huge, usually always a huge Georgian type party. So he went and did that, and then again, I'm flying back tonight to New York to jump on a plane with him to head over to Georgia, and I think he's probably obviously going to get his heroes welcome
mm.
and welcoming home, and he'll spend some time there for a little bit, and then he's actually going to head over to Azerbaijan with me to Corner Nazim Sadikov, and then obviously I have Khalil Roundtree over there. So, he likes to spend it with family and friends. Nothing too crazy.
Um, is it the first time he's had that hero's welcome where he's going to bring the belt back to Georgia
I
and hopefully get that hero's reception?
I don't think so. I think he did it after he won the title. I think it was huge when he first won it. He went out there for
Mm.
just like a couple days or something, and so I was supposed to go with him then, but it just didn't work out. So he's invited me a couple times, so it makes sense that I got to be over on that side of the world anyway. So why not stop in and enjoy some time with him?
It's a country of 3.5 million people, and it's got two UFC champions at the same time. What do you think's in the water over there?
I mean, those guys are just warriors. I
Mm,
say it all the time. The Georgian, the people. I love having those guys at the gym. They're all just such good dudes. They've all got really good hearts. And they're just tough as nails. They're just all true to what they do and what they love. And they like to fight, man. That culture is down to fight. I've
mm,
seen I've seen those guys. I've been in some altercations outside of the cage with these guys, and they are, if one fights, they're all fighting, and
mm.
and, and I love it. They're loyal as can be. So it's a great, it's always a great room when you've got it full of Georgian people. But yeah, they've just come up with a couple good champions right now that are looking really really unstoppable.
Let's talk about the fight. Give me your assessment of the kind of time in the cage, and if at all, how did it differ or maybe be similar to your expectations?
It was pretty much exactly the way we kind of figured it would go. It
Mm,
was one of those things where, they don't always go that way, but when you kind of plan and prepare, and the way I always do things, I have multiple options for the game plan. If he
mm,
does this, we're doing this. If this is the style he comes out with, then we're going this way. If this is the style, then we're doing this. If they switch the style, then we switch the style. So it makes it a very fluid deal. So when you kind of have that, it's really hard to go wrong when the fighter can implement it. So when they're able to switch and flow to with whatever's happening in the cage, and that's something that Marab does phenomenally. He downloads information better than anybody I've seen to this day so far. Um, and it went exactly like I figured it would. I thought Sean would have some success on the feet. Maybe, I didn't think he'd be laying anything ever to hurt Marab, but I thought he would maybe find some range and distance. And we knew they were going to try to attack the body. That was obviously the one the one thing they had success with was attacking the body. But we've been since that fight, we've been slamming kicks and punches into Merab's body so that even if he did get hit, it wasn't going to hurt him. That
Mm,
dude's body is conditioned now. That's something that we've really focused on. And then even focused to the point of like, okay, he's going to hit the body to set up the head. It never really kind of happened or came to fruition. I think that Merab shut all that down pretty quick. And the biggest thing was we need to let this guy know real fast that he is in the same situation, but a lot worse. Like Merab is a much more violent, much more heavy handed, much more intense than he was when they fought a year ago. So I think that got shown very, very quick and it kind of, shut down anything that they were going to do moving forward. And it went exactly. And now, I've obviously been preaching for a while that I want him looking for submissions because it's there. It's
mm,
always there. That he has he's had the opportunity. I know and I'll stand by this. We could have finished the last three opponents pretty easy. Sean included in the first one, Umar included, and even Cejudo. We could have finished all those fights. He just hasn't believed or thought that he was that style of fighter. And you've got to kind of slow play somebody like Merab to once they start to believe what they can do, they're going to do it. And now this man believes that he can be nasty and violent on the
mm,
ground and look for submission. So the whole concept of just hunting the submission, there's going to be a point in time where those guys break and they want a way out. They don't
mm.
maybe think that way, oh God, I want to get out of this fight, but their subconscious goes, take this or take that, and he just needs to look for those things. And he's starting to see it. And it showed in this fight. So um, it went great, man.
So based upon what you're saying there, this could potentially be the beginning of the second half of Merab's career. Because if Merab goes out there with this more violent or this more finish orientated style, we could almost see two halves where he went on that long winning streak of decisions and then now potentially, if things carry on the way they are, a long winning streak of finishes.
Have said it. I've probably said it to you. I've said it everywhere. We are now turning the fun into finishes, and this whole group of rematches that we'll have, we are looking to finish these guys. Now, I can't. It would be stupid to go on here and say we're going to finish all these guys. Even with Sean, like I said, Sean's never been finished. I don't know if we're going to get that, but it's not going to be for the lack of looking for it. We are going to look for those finishes now. We are going to be aware when that is when it presents itself, we're going to take it. So I do believe, I wholeheartedly believe that this is the first of many stoppages, whether it be TKO. And I'll say this: I think in the next year you're going to even see a knockout. I think he will because of the fear that he's going to put into people's hearts on the ground. They're going to want to stand, and the man's got some power. So this is a very, very violent, very, very vicious camp. My body doesn't feel good.
Mm,
There's a lot of broken and cracked things. And like I said, my ribs and my intestines have been rearranged, from that man just beating on me. And, I think that, yeah, I think that this is a new beginning for him, especially now that he's got new toys and he's a little kid when it comes to that. So, I'm going to get
mm.
this.
And also in terms of trying to defeat Merab, I mean, when people have quote unquote talked about how you would defeat Merab, in theory it would be you would have to stop him because it's going to be very difficult to win rounds with his pace and his pressure. Now, if he's finishing guys and the fight's taking less time, then in theory it's even more difficult to actually stop him or to get him out of there. So it makes the actual concept of defeating Merab if he's finishing people even
Yeah.
more difficult.
Yeah. And that was something that we knew we'd be able to take advantage in these first few. Like, people, I think even DC was saying it on the commentary, like, well, you don't have to worry about a submission or this. And then all of a sudden he wraps it. And I was like, oh my God, he's got
Yeah.
it. And that's the thing is that you didn't have to worry about him on the feet. You didn't have to worry about this. You didn't have to worry about that. Now you do. And so said, I think Marab got the better of him on the feet. I think he even rocked him a couple times or appeared to be. I don't know.
Mm,
Like it looked like we were doing damage in there. And when he goes, he goes. So I believe that you're going to never feel comfortable in any situation. And that's something I tell my whole team. If we don't finish a fight, it shouldn't be for the fact that, we didn't try. We should be trying. We should be looking for those things because even if we don't get it, that adds an element to the game of like, oh my God, now I have to defend this. Oh my God, I got to defend. And if they're trying to defend a submission, now they're getting punched in the face. They want to get back up so bad, now we can knock them out. You're adding a different layer of people being more exhausted even more, draining to their gas tanks. And yeah, I really do think that this is going to, open up and unlock a lot of doors for him inside the cage.
And it also feels like people are starting to listen to you a little bit more because all I've seen on my timeline is that Merab Dvalishvili is now the bantamweight GOAT, which you told me 6, 7, 8 months ago before he maybe before he fought you more. People are starting to listen, John.
Yeah, it's funny. I think we've passed the goat. I think now I've had a couple today that it's is he pound for pound the
This
best.
is what I wanted
I've
to ask you.
also I've also gone a couple people asked me if he's the all-time goat of all divisions, and here's the thing, those conversations, like, I got a lot of shit and I said that to you
Mm.
about, hey man, I think his resume, and I didn't even say he was the goat. I said this body of work, if those were title defenses, there's no question. So
Yeah.
I think that we have to still have those title defenses. Is he the best bantamweight ever? Arguably, I don't think it's arguably anymore. I think absolutely, in my mind, and what he's done and what he's going to continue to do. Yes, is he pound for pound? I think we're top. I think we're no doubt top five, and I think top three. You know,
How would you rank it out of interest? If we say the top four, let's say, are Islam, John, Ilya, and Merab, how would you rank those four?
I would honestly go Islam, and John is very, debatable.
Mm.
Islam's actually more active, so I don't know that, we keep John on the list because he is the GOAT.
Yeah.
He is the best, and his body of work will be very, very hard to touch. But, I think that those are the top two. And then honestly, for me, it's a toss up between Ilya and Rob. I
Mm.
really think that that third spot would be in contention, for if you were to stack who they've fought. I think Marab's resume is a little bit deeper. I think it's deeper than anybody's at the current moment. But those two would, those could be interchangeable in my book.
Yeah, 100%. What new challenges, if any, does Cory Sandhagen present as the next guy up to challenge Merab?
He's a great fighter, very
Mm.
talented fighter. I've said this before. I'm a fan of Cory Sandhagen. I'm a fan of watching Cory Sandhagen. He's got a really technical, like really pretty style of how he mixes things together with his footwork and his rhythm changes and all those kind of things. And as a coach, it's gonna be fun to game plan against it. I enjoy those kind of things, especially when it comes to those things, where you know, let's be honest, you really do have to catch Marab. You are going to have to knock him out. You are going to have to try to, submitting him. That man is not. That's not very easy. But you're going to have to catch him either in a submission or knock him out. You're not winning the decision against him, and so it really does bring some interesting things. But it's not. There's not too many things that I would say that we haven't seen. There's some stance and rhythm changes that we'll have to deal with, but more so, I always game plan for my fighter.
Mm.
What does he have to worry about for us? And I think Marab presents way more challenges, way more rhythm changes, way more different little what Corey does on the stand up, and he does it a lot prettier. We do just in different ways. And I'm not going to come out and say what that is, but our rhythms and our timings and our things and the little codes and stuff that we've developed over the years, I think are very, they're unbeatable at this point in time, but
Mm.
it's an MMA fight. You never know. So there's a couple big things we have to stay away from. Obviously, his awkward timing, his jump knees, his this, that, and the other. But I really don't see I don't see Merab losing that belt. But again, Corey's a great fighter, great team, great coaches. It'll be really really fun to game plan against.
Where does this one rank for you personally when we compare it to say the Sphere or we compare it to how Merab was counted out in the UMR fight or maybe other personal favorites that you have? Where does this victory rank?
Man, it's arguably number one for me. I
Mm.
don't remember being so excited after somebody has finished or won. It's special. Winning the title obviously was a big one, and the sphere was such a moment. That was such a crazy thing. But this one, getting the finish, and I felt like I wanted to flip over tables and just throw things, and I was going crazy. I've never felt like that. I was so happy for him because of what this does. It gets the finishing monkey off your back. It gets the, people, like, it really does send him into the superstardom realm. The UFC loves him. The fans love him. Like, he's such a likable, good dude. Like, he's so good. He's such a great teammate and a great friend and person to just have around. I really just a culmination of, really just being super excited for him and what this does for him and
Yeah.
what the next step is like. So it's up there, man. It's top three for sure, if not the top one. Like, and it was just something different in the back. Like, the energy in that place was insane. Loudest place, arguably loudest place I've ever been in. It was crazy. We almost got crushed when we were walking out, and
Yes.
the thing fell out and almost hit Merab if somebody wasn't there. It
Bizarre.
landed on our feet. It was nuts. So, but like, just in the back, you could just feel the energy, and just seeing Merab, I just knew something special was going to happen. And it's up there, man. It definitely, I think, is one or two for me.
Finally, before I let you go, where do you think Sean goes from here? I mean, I always say if somebody loses twice to the same man, it kind of solidifies that that guy in your era was better than you. There's kind of no question about that. Where do you think he goes from here?
That's a tough call. I
Mm,
really don't want to count anybody out. Sean's
yeah.
still one of the top guys in the world. Um, I think that it's back to the drawing board, and figure out what he really wants out of the sport. Does he want to be, does he still want to be a champion? Does he want to move up and chase the title? Does he want to stay where he's at? There's some winnable fights at 35. There's some really good matchups for him at 35. There's some fights that I think that he could go off. I think that the Cejudo fight is a very good matchup for him. I think that's a great fight that if he gets in, and that could put him back in. Do I think he's ever fighting Merab again? No, but this sport, we've seen it happen. The last man standing sometimes is the last man standing. Like,
Mm,
a couple wins, Sean goes out there and sleeps a name. Everybody's going to talk again. He's got that kind of aura and that star power around him that he can build back up, and that the UFC is so smart, and they know how to make money, and they know how to make fights. Just even
mm,
this fight again, the marketing that they did, and the angle that they took with, it's a whole new O'Malley. His hair is brown now.
yeah.
Like, why are we getting excited about his hair freaking being his natural color? Like, holy shit! Like,
Yeah.
my hair's gray. Who cares? Whatever.
Mm,
It's one of those things where the market, he's not jerking off anymore. He's he's stopped smoking weed. He's off social media. Like, this is, and they hyped it, and people were
mm.
buying
People
in.
buy
Like,
it.
I was sitting there the week of the fight again, going like, why is everybody? And what am I missing here?
Mm.
He's not doing anything different other than what he's supposed to be doing, which is what Marab's already doing. So but everybody got hyped, even myself, watching all the lead up. That's the crazy thing about these fights is you're watching yourself, you're watching the other camp unvetted, you're hearing all these things, you're hearing people are always saying the right things, they're always saying what they should be saying. And so they built it, and people bought in, and a lot of people bet on O'Malley. Like,
Mm.
everybody was picking him to win. Now, it was a little different, like on the night of the analysts, like last time, nobody picked Marab. But at least this time, shout out, Anthony Smith and Dean Thomas. They actually picked us this time.
Mm.
Chael threw his garbage pick in there. He just
Mm.
always tries to be different. But we I think the people that knew kind of knew, but Israel, Asanya, all these big names, people were still leaning to Sean in a knockout. And I just like, I don't see it, but they know how to market. So there's always a place and always a chance when you're a star and you have that star capability. So I think that Sean can get back up there. He can make a name. He can have some big money fights. I wouldn't say I don't think it's time for him to move up yet unless he's having trouble making weight. I
Mm.
really don't think that's the smart thing. They're going to give O'Malley fights. There's some good fights and there's some bad fights for him. But he just needs to have to take a long look and talk to his coach Tim and figure out what it is they want to do, what it is they really are trying to achieve and how fast they want to achieve it.
John, thank you for your time. It's good to see good people do well. So congratulations to both you and Merab on Saturday night's victory. Enjoy your journey over to Georgia. Enjoy your subsequent journey over to Azerbaijan. I hope you make all of your connections in time for both Naz's and Khalil's fight. And again, thank you for your time. Always appreciate it.
Hey, thank you so much, man. Anytime I can come on here, I really appreciate it.